Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of NeoForge series. In today's episode, we'll be having a look at ore generation. I did publish a video prior to this on ore generation, but there was a mistake in it that made the ore generation not work. So we'll just be redoing the tutorial. So to get started, you want to head over to your create a world gen folder in your main folder, and in here you wanna create a Java class called mod biomes modifiers, and in here you wanna have a resource key. So you have protected static static resource key, and in here you're gonna call it biome modifier. We just made a spelling mistake here. We're gonna just correct it quickly. Mod biome modifier, and in here you wanna call it add underscore example underscore o, and you're just gonna call here register, call a method called register key and the name of the O. So you're just going to say add example, and I want to create this method. So you have to say private static resource key register key, and in here you're going to have the following. So you're going to say resource key dot create, and here you're gonna have create, and then you're gonna have here NeoForge registries, and keys biome modifier, and in here you're gonna get new resource location, and you're gonna get the mod ID and the name of the thing you want to add. And then now we want to add one more thing, so just tutorial mod ID, and next you want to create a method called public void bootstrap, and here you want to have the following parameter. So bootstrap context dot biome modifier, and this is just going to be called context. And in here you want to have hold getter. So this is going to allow where you want to have your block placed, like how it work, and he's going to call placed feature, and this is going to be called placed feature, and it's going to be just call it placed feature, and in here we're going to say please feature equals context dot lookup, and in we're going to look up for registries dot placed feature, and then we're gonna call another one called hold getter biome, and it's going to be called biomes context dot lookup for registries dot biomes. And then before we continue, we want to create another class called mod placed features, which we will call in the same class in the mod placed features. So I want to head over here and create mod placed feature, and in here we want to have the following. We want to have the following static. So protected static resource key placed feature example, and just called we're gonna call this create key, and in here so when I head over down here, and you want to do the following. So create key, create the, so you're gonna do registries dot create, so registries, and in here you want to call placed feature, and then you do new resource location, similar to what you did prior, tutorial mod ID and the name. And then we want to have another method called private static void register. So it's going to have we register all, so you can have bootstrap context placed feature, placed feature, and we're going to call this context, and we're going to have the resource key placed feature, and this is we're going to call this our key, and then we're gonna have holder config feature, and then we're just gonna have generic just question mark, and then we're gonna call this feature, and then we're gonna have one more parameter called list placement modifier. I'm just going to call this modifiers, and in here we're going to do, just get rid of this, and in here we're going to do context dot register, and then going to be key, then new placed feature, and in here we're going to have feature, and then we're going to have placements. We're going to call the last one, which we've called our modifiers, so that's fine. So instead of, we'll just call this placement placements, and just change this to placements. Alright, now we've done that. Now we're going to create a bootstrap here as well. So we're going to be called public static void bootstrap, and this is going to be called the following parameter: bootstrap context placed feature context, and in here we're going to have another holder getter, and this is going to be configured feature, and it's going to be called configured features, and this will do context dot lookup and look for the following registries, so registries dot configured features. Alright, now we want to do a holder config feature getter to look for overall example auth, which we will need to make in our another class called mod config features. So you want to head over here. So before we do that, we want to just create a class called mod or placement. So mod or placement, and in here we're going to have the following methods. So you're going to do private static list, and in here we're going to have placement modifier, and this is going to be called or placement. So we're going to use this to generate our ors. So, and we're going to have we're going to call this placement modifier, and then we're going to have another placement modifier. Placement modifier, and then placement modifier 1, and now in here we're going to do return list of the placement modifier, and then we're going to do in square placement dot spread. So we're going to spread our ors, and then we're going to do placement modifier 1, and then we're going to do biome filter dot biome. And then once we've done that, now I want to make another method which we'll make public. We'll call in the class we're going to create later on. So list placement modifier, and in here we're going to say common or placements, common or placements, and in here we're going to see how the count how many ors we want to generate, and the placement modifier, and then placement modifier, and in here so placement modifier, and in here we're going to call return or placement, and in here we're going to do count placement of our count and our placement modifier. And now we can create another one for rare or placements, and here instead of count placement, we're just going to call rarity filter dot on average once every certain amount of count, so how many you set, so for every 5 it'll generate one. There's for every 5% chance your O will generate. And then once we've done that, now we can close this off, and now we want to head over and create our class, which we will call configured features. So mod configured features. And 1 second. So fixes that issue. And then now in here we want to create the following static. So protected static resource key. In here call it this configured features, and in here have just undefined generics, and in here we're going to call this overworld example O, and just get rid of this here, and this we're going to say create key overworld example. So what we're going to do here is we're going to generate our over. It will generate in the overworld. You can do this also for the nether, and you can also do this for the end. So it follows the same principle. So you're going to do private static resource key, and then we're going to register our config features like we did for the rest. And in here we're going to now have another method which we're going to call private static, and in this we're going to have the generic fc extends feature configuration, and going to have another one called f extends feature, and which is going to call this, we're going to pass in fc, and in here we're going to call this void register bootstrap context, and we're going to say configured features, and we're going to call this context, and then we're going to have another one for resource key, and it's going to call configured features as well. And in here we're going to call this key, and then we're going to call f as feature, and the fc will be our config, fc config, with f being our feature which we defined here, and our feature config here. So just spell config right, and then we're now gonna define this here. So we're gonna state context.register, and this is gonna be key, and in here new configured feature, configured feature, and it's and then here we're going to have this here, and then we're going to do our feature and our config. So that's fine. Now we're going to create our bootstrap context like we did for the other one. So in here we're going to have public, so it's going to be bootstrap context, and in here we're going to have the rule set, so rule test. So these define how we're going to generate our O's, which blocks they replace. So we're going to have the rule test, and in here we're going to have stone replacement, replacement will equal, and this will equal new tag match test block tags dot stone or replacements. If you want the end, you can have you'll have to make your own, but for the nether, I think nether craver replacements, but for the stone this is defined there, and we can do the same for deep slate replacement. That's fine. And now we want to create our configured or configuration for our overall example. Also we're gonna say list, and in here we're gonna have all configuration dot target block state example O, and in here we have list dot of, and in here we're going to have all configuration dot target, and then going to be stone or replacements, and then we're going to call our block edit, so which we have we made in prior episodes, example dot get dot default block state. And then once that, we want to call a comma here, we want to do a comma, and then we're going to do here, or we're going to do the same thing for our deep slate, and then we're going to do deep slate example or dot default block state, and then we can close this off. And then now we want to create registers, so we're going to say register, and then context or the type feature is, and size, the size of how many we're going to generate per vein. So I'm just going to say here I'm going to do 3, and then once we've done that, now we can head over back to our mod placed features. which created here. And in here want to register here, so we're going to say holder, and in here config features, and then question mark, and in here we're going to call this holder, and then we're going to say config features dot get or throw, and then we're going to here do mod config features dot example. So all we just created now, and in here we're going to do, this is what we're going to define the vein, how many veins per chunk, and between which y coordinates. So we're going to register context, and in here we're going to do example o, and then we're going to call holder, and then we're going to call mod or placements, and in here we're going to say common or placements. And in here, so we're going to say we want for every vein we're going to have 3, or you can have 4, this depending on what you want to have. And then we're going to say height range placement dot uniform, and in here we're going to have where we're going to have it between which coordinates, between which y-axis, between -64, and then we're going to have it one sec. This is going to be in here, we're going to have vertical anchor dot absolute, so we're going to be -64, and now we're going to do vertical absolute, and in here we're going to do 20. So this can be up to you how many you want here, and that's up to you. So now we've done that. Now we want to head over back to our mod biomes modifier. This mod biomes modifier is important because you're registering with the NeoForge registries, and in here you want to just do context dot register, and in here you do add example o, and then you do new biomes modifier dot add features. I am here, this one, and in here you want to do biome dot so just do this biomes dot get or throw, and in here we're going to do biome tag, because we're registering to overall, we're going to do is overworld, and then we're going to check holder set dot direct, and in here we're going to do placed feature dot get or throw, and we're going to call it from our mod placement feature dot example o, and then one last one, one second, and here we're going to do generation step dot decoration. This is defining how it's going to generate, and we're just going to say generate in underground O's. So that's for our underground generation. If you're working with other things, then you can do surface structures, strongholds, etc., but related to strongholds. And then once you've done that, now we can now generate everything. So we head over to our data generator. We want to create a folder here called a package called world, and in world we can create a class called mod world gen provider, and in mod world gen provider we're going to say extends data pack built entries provider, and in here we're going to do we're going to call a constructor. So we're going to say create constructor matching super, and then in here we can get rid of the set here, the set of mod IDs, and in here we're just going to do the super registries, and in here we're going to do new registry set builder, and in here we're going to add our registries dot config feature, and we're going to call our class bootstrap. We're going to add our place feature, and we're going to add NeoForge registries dot keys dot biome modifier, and that one second. So for place feature we're going to do mod placement feature, that's fine. For mod biome modifier, so we can just fix the name here, mod biome modifier, so we can just call that mod biomes modifier. Oops, one second. Mod biomes modifier. So if we just call one second, sorry. Mod Oh yeah, we never made it static, so we can't call it unless we call it new instance. That's fine. So that's fine. Now we can call this, and then once we've done that, now oh yeah, we need to call comma here, and then we can do set or dot of, and then we're gonna say tutorial mod id, and then just remove the extra here, and that's fine. You can close this off. And then now we want to head over to, I need to change this here as well. So this is going to be holder dot and holder lookup dot provider. So that's fine. Now we head over to your data generator. Now you want to add the generator provider. So, and then once you've done that, you can then run your data generation, and then that will generate everything you need and fix any issues or prior codes in the previous tutorial. So I'll meet you back once that's generated. Alright, so it's generated now, and if you head over to our NeoForge biome modifier, you can see we have a new JSON that we didn't have previously. So this caused an issue that I didn't realize, but thanks to someone who posted in the comment section, I managed to figure out the issue and fix it. And then you can see here what we generated, our example on overall example. So this should allow us to generate our OS to generate in our world. So that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you had a great time and managed to learn something new. See you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi and peace out.